it's Kevin here from Happy Beard Games, and today is a pickups video. It's my pickups video of December 2022, and I'm recording this in early January 2023. I also want to point out that these pickups were from maybe a couple months ago? I don't know. Let's check. I have the receipt here today. This is all from the store Super Smash Video Games Olympia, which is my go-to retro gaming store. I go to other retro gaming stores, of course, but this is the one I go to the most. This is my favorite. I trade there, I buy there, I visit there frequently. I know people that work there. I know people that work there watch the videos that I make, which is really cool too, and I appreciate that as well. Oh yeah, 11/2/2022. The start of November, recording this video at the start of January. Okay, but this was the last time that I bought retro video games. I think in the last 2 months, because I was focusing on Christmas presents, and my friend had a birthday, and let's see, there was a bunch of Switch games I bought, and some games on the eShop and Steam that I bought too. So instead of buying retro games, I just haven't done that in a couple months. So here we go. Retro games, they're secretly from November, but it's December 2022's pickups of retro games right here in Happy Beard Games' pickups. Now the cool thing about this pickup is I actually traded in some games and I used store credit. So these were all free, and actually I think I have like $2 to $4 left over at the store still that I need to go use that I haven't done yet. So, I don't even remember what I traded in. I think it was some Dreamcast games. I think you might be like, whoa, don't trade in Dreamcast games, but like, I don't play my Dreamcast. I don't collect for Dreamcast. I play a couple games on the Dreamcast that I specifically like, which is weird because I have 2 Dreamcast consoles and 4 or 5 controllers. So anyways, I used all trade credit on this, so it was free. The total would have been $59. So a little under $60 for this pickup. It's a little bit more than I usually do, but since it's trade, it's not that big of a deal for me. So these are all for the Nintendo NES. One of them has the manual, and they're all lower end games. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad games. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good games either. They're all $15 or less. And some of these games you've already seen me play on my channel because I've already played them like as soon as I got them. But we're going to jump in with the pickups right now. So, alright, first game in the pickups is Mendel Palace for the Nintendo NES. This was a weird one. This is a weird pickup for me. You know, when I do my pickups, I like to talk about why I picked these up. The reasons behind the pickups are more interesting to me than seeing another person talk about I bought the game. But, yeah, this game just had the most bizarre art style on the cover. And I'll do a close-up of that for you, like, so you can see what I'm seeing with my eyes. It's just crazy. It's anime style. It's a little more shaded and rounded than your typical anime. But I'm assuming this might have a different artwork in the original Japanese version. Now, this is a Hudson Soft game, which is a Japanese developer, Japanese company. Mendel Palace almost seems like a game that would be stuck on the Famicom. And from what I remember playing it, because it's been a couple months once again, it's like I couldn't figure out how to play it exactly, so my gameplay's going to look a little sloppy. But I think it's like something with tiles that you flip over, and then there's an enemy on screen. And I couldn't really figure out exactly what to do, but I did progress a little bit. And I feel like next time I play this game, I'm going to have to look up the manual or a gameplay video on the internet, because it doesn't tell you how to play like many NES games, but it's not just like a skill thing. It's like, I've never played a game like this before. Now, the artwork is a little messed up. This part right here is folded up. It's not ripped necessarily, but the sticker behind it is ripped, so I could probably glue that back down if I felt like repairing this or restoring this a little bit. The artwork got me. It was one of those things you pick up and you're like, I'll see on the side, it's just Mendel Palace, plain font but purple. I'm like, okay, well, I was going through all the games that day. I was looking through every NES game they had on the rack. Not in the case, but on the rack on the shelf. And this one, I was like, I've never heard of Mendel Palace. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Mendel Palace, yeah. No, wait, Mendel Palace. Whoa. It's a palace. It's not a place. I want to call it place. Yeah, I knew something was off there. Well, it's Mendel Palace. Excuse me, Hudson Soft. And it just looks really bizarre. And, like, all these characters look weird and like funky and cool. Like one guy's got a mohawk and face paint. One guy's like, he's like a Japanese demon with a horn. I don't know what they're called. There's like a specific Japanese demon that has a round face and like a singular horn. It's like an ogre maybe. There's like some guy dancing in the background. There's a little like boy with like a painter's hat. I don't know, it's just bizarre. The art style grabbed my attention, and I wanted to know what kind of game this could possibly be. So I picked this up without knowing anything about it, and when I got into the gameplay, I still knew nothing about what to do. But it's interesting. Mendel Palace. Pretty cool. That was $12. Another $12 game, we've got MTV's Remote Control. Now, with MTV's Remote Control, it's based upon the MTV game show of the same name. Now, with these game show games, I love to play game show and board game and like a Pictionary or a what's that game called? Anticipation, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, that kind of stuff on the NES. MTV Remote Control seemed like it would be right up my alley, but it wasn't. I kind of got it, and I kind of could get a few little questions here and there. It's outdated, and it's not like, it's a lot of like TV questions, like TV shows, TV characters, specific TV episodes, or TV like based things, which makes sense. MTV. Well, I mean, there should be more music things, but I think it's mostly television stuff, which is interesting. But I guess it wasn't so much as what I thought, which was going to be a music trivia game, but it's mostly a television show. Like, there's questions about the show MASH, stuff like that. Like, some actresses that are around in the 70s and the early 80s. I don't know when this came out. It might have been 1990, but it might have been, like, during the 80s. And so, with that being said, with it being, like, outdated in terms of, like, trivia, it made it very hard for me to guess a lot of the game, and that lowered my amount of fun that I would have with it. Especially when it was, like, show after show of shows that I've heard of, but I don't know anything specific about them. And that's partially my fault. I didn't grow up in the 80s, or maybe I just didn't choose to watch a lot of these 80s shows, but I feel like I did. But I guess it was mainly 80s movies. This is like sitcoms and comedies of the 70s and 80s are like answers to questions in this game. At least that's what I thought they were. I didn't know what they were exactly. But I know there was a lot from the show MASH, which is a good show. I've seen a couple episodes, but I don't know enough about it to be able to be a trivia on it. This is a game called... It's by the developer High Tech Expressions. It's published by MTV. Is the channel. It's really cool, or it was really cool back when they played music videos. The tagline says, the official video game version of MTV's worthless game of useless TV knowledge. And with that, it's kind of like, okay, like, why are they saying it's worthless and useless? That's a weird tagline for a game. It seems very 80s and early 90s kind of tagline, but I don't know. It's just, I didn't have much fun with this one, which is weird because I have a lot of fun with Jeopardy. I have a lot of fun with Anticipation and Pictionary, but not with this one so much. Now, this game was kind of cool because it came with the manual. It also came with a dust sleeve, but I don't have it on me right now. So MTV Remote Control says you can win the MTV Record Club Remote Control t-shirt offer inside, which is always a cool thing to see in these booklets. In the instruction book, take a peek in there. Anything interesting. In the very first pages, the table of contents is kind of weird. Welcome to MTV's Remote Control. Please read this booklet for a complete explanation of how to play the game. Or don't read the booklet and make a total fool of yourself in front of your family and your friends. Your choice. So they give you the option once you're already opening it up. They're sort of like, don't read it. It's kind of funny. There's probably a lot of like information in here that might actually help me enjoy the game more. But I don't know. Here's that shirt you can get through the order. I guess it's not a contest, it's just you can get a shirt, which is pretty cool. You have to mail in. Here's the mail-in form. You gotta cut it out and send it in your mailbox. There's also an ad for the MTV Record Club magazine. It's where Anthrax rocks with Exodus at the Headbangers Ball. Club MTV, Headbangers Ball, you got Air Check, Now Hear This, MTV Record Club, MTV To Go. Cool stuff, guys, cool stuff. That's MTV Remote Control for the Nintendo NES. Let's check out the next game. Now here's a game that you've probably seen me play on a recent live stream, which I also re-edited and uploaded. I played the game fully the first time, which is a cool thing to be able to do with an NES game. A lot of these NES games like Castlevania, oh, too hard. Ghosts and Goblins, way too hard. This game is a game that you can pick up and play. It's from a series you know and love. It has colorful art, colorful characters, a good publisher, a good developer, recognizable characters, and you probably know what this is already if you're following my channel, but this is the Little Mermaid for the Nintendo NES. It's by Capcom USA, and actually, now that I'm looking at the art style, or the picture they use for the cover art is a little odd. It's not actually like the cover or the poster of the Little Mermaid, but it's got like kind of a weird scene on there. I don't know, everyone looks confused and scared. I never noticed that up until now. I thought it was just like the movie poster or something. Anyways, this game is really fun. It's really good. You can pick up and play and understand it within a few minutes. And within about half an hour, I had like pretty much mastered the controls and mastered the gameplay mechanics and what to do in the game. I beat the game. I think it was about an hour, maybe hour and a half. Beat the entire game. I believe there's 5, maybe 6 levels. There's 5 levels, I think. And each level has a boss. There's also a final boss in addition to all the other bosses and all the other levels. It's kind of cool. It's a game where you're underwater swimming. Of course, you're a mermaid, Ariel. And also, it has really good controls. It doesn't feel like an underwater level necessarily. So if you're worried about this being like, oh, it's going to be an underwater level for the whole game, it doesn't feel like that. It has some really cool mechanics where you can like pick up things and throw them at the enemies. You know, it's the NES. It's only got 2 buttons. So what else can you do? But it's really cool. It has a nice art style, nice soundtrack. The gameplay is easy to pick up and play. It's not so easy that it's for babies, but it's also, it's like if you have NES games, you like the NES, you want to have a fun time and beat a game in a day, here you go, Little Mermaid. Check it out. The Little Mermaid was $15 on the NES, and this was also a $15 game for the NES. Now this is a game that I actually owned at one point way back in the day, before I had an NES, so I think I sold it or gave it to someone. This is Paperboy for the NES. Now I've played Paperboy in the arcades where you have like the bike handle controller, which is really cool. I have Paperboy on the N64 version, which is actually pretty cool too. But Paperboy for the NES, arcade classic. It's a unique arcade classic. You're not shooting aliens. You're not, you know, racing. You are shooting paper, newspapers at people's doors or doorsteps or mailboxes, and you're kind of driving. You have the handlebar, at least in the arcade, and you're driving your bike, riding your bike across the neighborhood as a Paperboy. It's pretty much self-explanatory what the game is. If you know what the Paperboy occupation is, then you know what this game basically is. You're the Paperboy. You go and deliver paper. Now at the very start of the level, they'll show like the neighborhood map. And on the neighborhood map, they'll have certain houses that are subscribed to the newspaper, certain houses that are not subscribed to the newspaper. And you kind of got to memorize that at the start, and you got to deliver to those specific houses to get points. You also have to dodge a lot of hazards, which is the hardest part of the game. Dodging, like, there's this crazy woman that comes out of her house and tries to like kick you off your bike or something. Or I think there's a dog. Or maybe a cat. There's other cars. There's like maybe like a broken water pipe or something you gotta dodge. It's interesting. It's a fun classic arcadey game. I think it was by Midway, maybe not. It says Mindscape and Tengen, so maybe it was by Midway originally. I can't tell. It does say Mindscape, but that's for the NES version, and Tengen as well. It's really cool. If you haven't played Paperboy, check it out. Just see what it's all about. It's an arcade classic. It's fun. It's a little challenging. I think there's like a kind of like a trick park at the very end of the neighborhood too, which is kind of cool. You can do some like jumps and stuff on your bike. So there's some variety at the end of this too. It's pretty cool. Check it out. Our final game today is also the least spendy one of them all. This was only $5, and this is a game that I've been trying to find for a long time, and I've been wanting to get this for a while. I just never got it, and for $5, I'm like, well, let's just get it now. It's a skateboarding game, a classic. This is a game called Skate or Die. Now, Skate or Die has some really nice character artwork in it. It's basically like the premise of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but in like an NES form. This is basically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater if it was on the NES. So it's like the same kind of thing, but like a few generations behind. So you got like skateboard games. It doesn't have that 3D perspective that Tony Hawk has. It's more like the Tony Hawks on like the Game Boy Advance and stuff, if you remember those ones. It has that kind of like isometric 3D view, and you have full control over your skater. I think you can actually buy stuff, like in the Tony Hawk games, you can buy stuff for your character. There's competitions you can go to. There's like, I think 5, maybe more, different like skater like events or activities to do. There's a half pipe challenge. There is like a free skate. I don't remember what else. There's a skate park. There's a race, I think, and then there's something else with tricks, I believe. This is by Ultra Games, which I think is Konami. It was an arcade. Wasn't this an arcade? I don't know if it's an arcade or not. There's a game that I'm not thinking of right now. 720, where they say Skate or Die in it. That was the arcade one. I don't know if Skate or Die was actually in the arcades as an arcade version or not, but it was definitely on the NES exclusively. I think it was exclusively, maybe not. I don't know what I'm talking about. But Skate or Die, I think it's in the same series as 720, because I played 720 in the arcades as well. It's a pretty cool game. I don't know what else to say about it. It's basically like Tony Hawk, but like a few generations behind, but it's still pretty good. Like, I wouldn't say it's quite as standout in the NES library as Tony Hawk was for like the PlayStation, but if you want a skateboarding game on the NES, get Skate or Die. I think there's a sequel too. There's Skate or Die 2, I believe. Alright everybody, that's it for today's pickups right here on Happy Bird Games. We checked out 5 Nintendo classics on the NES, and they're pretty cool, If I had to rate my favorite out of all these, I'd probably say Little Mermaid, because I played it fully. I never played it before, and it was very interesting and fun. I also really like Paperboy just because I played that one before, and I know it's an arcade classic, and I have fun with it all the time, but not for as long as Little Mermaid. Like, I can play Little Mermaid like fully in one sitting, but with Paperboy, I'm only going to want to play it for like a good 15 to 20 minutes, you know? I'm not going to want to play any more than half an hour. But yeah, really cool games. I got them for the trade-in price, which is free, but they normally would have been about $59. This is all at Super Smash Video Games at Olympia, Washington, and I highly recommend you go check that place out because it's pretty cool. They have a lot of variety, not just NES, but I think NES, maybe Atari, maybe their older consoles, or maybe Sega Master System. So yeah, a lot of variety there. Alright everybody, thanks for watching once again. Stay tuned to Happy Bird Games for more classic gaming goodness. You can check out my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter. You can check out my Ko-fi page, and then you can also subscribe, like, share with your friends, and comment. Subscribe today for more classic gaming goodness and more pickups videos like this one. Alright everybody, thanks for watching once again. Bye!